Hi guys, and welcome to Mental Improvement episode 4. I'm joined with my good friend Mike Ward today. As usual, I'm not going to say too much. I'm just going to get in with Mike, let him tell you his story about, maybe something that he's been through, something he learned from that, and then we'll take it from there. So, Mike, I feel like I've only just spoken to you about 5 seconds ago from the podcast. Yeah. Can you talk us a little bit through your own personal experience with mental health?
Okay, so probably growing up as a child, I had a few issues, I should say, and it tended to be more anger issues than anything. I know it was quite a stressful time for my mum and dad dealing with it, but I just used to almost sort of black out, and I'd lose my temper, and once I come around, the bedroom would be trash, or there's a hole in the door, standard angry young man. But that happened for a good few years when I was younger, and my dad sort of didn't push me, but edged me towards getting involved more with karate at the time and kickboxing that I did after, just as a way to try and extinguish that and give me a bit more self-control, which worked.
Yeah.
Because then all the way through my 20s and early 30s I was probably fine, and then I think as I got older I realised that maybe it wasn't cured, because I personally don't believe it is curable. It just sort of manifested into different issues when then I started to sort of suffer from depression quite a bit, and I felt like I was locking everything inside. So then I would just sort of push away from everyone,
right?
And that was sort of how I dealt with it then. And I don't know whether it was because of what I went through when I was younger, and how I dealt with that by just getting immersed 100% into karate and training 4 or 5 times a week, and then fighting at weekends, or that took me away from it, or just didn't give me time to focus on it. I don't know, but I tended to do the same with my depression as well, and I thought, well, you know what, I just need to play rugby on a Saturday, and that'll sort of extinguish it all, and get rid of any built up aggression I might have or anything. And basically, I was just kidding myself. It was probably only last year that I realised, no, it was probably 2 years ago now, that I realised that I had to talk about it, and I went to counselling. It was not long after I got divorced, actually. I went to counselling, and talking about it, I realised that when I went and spoke to this stranger, and I could just be talking shit, but I spoke to this stranger for an hour. When I came out, it was like everything's lifted, and I was like, shit, this is how you're supposed to feel.
Yeah.
This is me now. And then I think for the next few months after that, again it sort of built up on me, and then I'd go and speak to him again, and it'd lift off. So I was never really curing, but I was finding a way to deal with it.
Okay.
And now to the point where I'll talk to anybody that listens. It's I am quite open about it. If I see any of my clients struggling in that, I will tell them my story, and they'll go, all right, well, Mike knows what I'm going through, or Mike's sort of been through similar. And I talk to my girlfriend Martine a lot. It's when I feel it building up, I'll just say to her, have you got 5 minutes, and then I'll just chat, and she'll just sit and listen, and that's all she needs to do. Because I'm talking about it and getting it out there, that it certainly helps.
Yeah.
But it did take me a very, very long time to sort of realise that, and a very long time to sort of pluck up the courage to go and speak to someone. And again, it just didn't happen overnight. It was a case of being able to talk about it a lot that enabled me now to be in a position where I can speak about it openly, and I can, if I'm struggling, say, you know what, I'm fucking struggling here. I just need something, whether it's time or whether it's just a talk, and then get that, and then it's like everything's okay again, but it could last a week, it could last a day, it could last 6 months, you don't know. I think things like, well, in my opinion anyway, things like depression and even anxiety and that, you could go to bed feeling on top of the world, like it's, I've had the best day ever, everything's going right, wake up the next morning, it's like, shit, everything's falling apart.
Yep.
And it's like, how do I deal with that, and it is a case now of the realisation that, just talk about it.
Yeah. You said that when you've spoken about it with your clients, you kind of sharing your experience. Does that kind of level of empathy encourage them to open up a little bit more?
With some of them, yeah, definitely. I'm quite close to a few of my clients because they've been clients for a very, very long time. So we know everything about each other's families and this and that. So I think with them ones that do feel comfortable enough, because I've probably bored them with my story, 10, 20 times. That they're now in a position where they can say, listen, I'm having a really shit week or having a really shit day, and we'll just spend half an hour a session just talking, just sit down, let's chat. We'll forget about training for now, let's chat. And I don't think there's much advice that I could give, and I don't think I'm probably the right person to be giving advice, but I can listen.
Yeah.
And I think just being able to listen helps people so much. I've probably got other clients that are probably just starting to realise now that, I can talk about anything. And it's, again, it's great to see. It's like I can see that improvement in them, and it's not all about just losing pounds or adding on muscle mass, getting that side of things, and the mental side of things and the mindset is just massive. And once you start to get clients and people to open up like that with you, you're getting on for cracking it.
Yeah. Is there are there any kind of key differences between the male clients and the female clients in terms of their ability to open up, or?
I thought so at first. I thought, well, it tended to be the female clients that would open up easy to me, but now I've completely changed. It's not. I think everyone's the same, male or female, and if someone wants to talk to you, they'll talk to you.
Yeah.
The people that speak to me now, I've probably got a 50-50 split.
That's good.
And it is good that I think a lot of men especially are changing nowadays and sort of realising, well, it's sort of okay to admit, whereas if I said it to my dad, my dad would be like, don't talk nonsense, just grow a pair of balls and get on with it, It's, but it's, I think more and more so people are realising nowadays that, it does affect everyone, or it can affect everyone at different stages of life and different ways as well. Wherever it is, almost like on the anxiety side, on where you would just want to curl up and stay in bed or whatever, or whether it's more so from my side, which is more down depression route, where I just think like everything's going wrong and everything's against me. It's I think people are sort of realising now that more and more of us are affected by it.
Yeah.
And I think people talking about it a bit more, and I think people in positions like myself and yourself, who have a following or are surrounded by people on a day-to-day basis, when they can see us talking about it openly, they're like, alright, it is okay.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I think when you get like celebrities coming out and talking about mental illness and depression and things like that, it does have this significant impact. It's like people realise, oh, if that can happen to these people who we perceive as being in the best positions in the world, because fame's everything, obviously. It's like, and it does. It's all awareness. I'm really happy to hear that you kind of, with your experience with your clients, that it's, you know, you're getting that 50-50 level. Because with mine, I'd say still very heavily skewed towards the female side of things. That would I think, talk about it.
I suppose a bit. It's quite good where I'm based as well. So being in the centre of Warrington, it's a rugby league town, and we're surrounded by rugby league towns: Wigan, St Helens, Leigh, and the rugby league currently have a thing called State of Mind.
Okay.
And it was basically brought up because there was ex-players. There was like Terry Newton was an ex-Wigan player, well-known Great Britain caps now, and he committed suicide. You know, he suffered from depression. And then it sort of come out that a lot of ex-rugby professionals are suffering or have suffered. You know, going from full-time sports personalities to, in the early ages of 30 plus, of retirement. And it's like, that's what they're doing now.
Yeah.
You know, it's effective. So, and I think with the way they push that, and especially in a rugby town like this, that, you know, it's made a lot of rugby players and supporters sort of realise, right, shit, you know, if my heroes are suffering and they're willing to talk about it, well then I can as well. So I think, you know, it's probably only demographic or wherever you live, and with Warrington being such a heavy rugby league town, and with this all growing with the State of Mind, I think there is a lot more males sort of realising that it's okay for me to say something. Yeah. So, you know, maybe that has an effect.
I think in my previous interview with a guy called Steve, who he plays American football. Right. I think he brought up State of Mind as well. So definitely someone I've been like looking. I need to look into and see what they're doing, because it sounds like they're doing absolutely phenomenal work. Yeah. This is one of the things I actually love about doing these interviews, is that I actually find out that people say there's not enough happening. But there's two sides to that. Actually, there isn't enough happening. There could always be more, but at the same time, people don't know what is happening.
That's it. There is things happening, you know, and there is people that you can speak to, and there's probably groups you can go to and that. But if you don't know, you're not going to go and attend, or you're not going to be involved. I think that's especially why things like State of Mind and that. I think was it the grand final last year, or it was one of the big games last year anyway, where all the players come out in the warm-up kits and we're all wearing State of Mind t-shirts, you know, and it's on telly, it's nationally, so it's, you know, people looking to know, what's that t-shirt? You know, a lot of people's like, hey, that looks good, what's that, where can I get one of them? You know, when you look into it, it's like, right, you know, and then people read more into it. So there's definitely things out there, but I think people need to be aware a bit more of what's out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's I had this little mini rant on Jamie Alderson's page the other day, actually, because people were having a go at him for interviewing Joe Wicks, because it's all about attention, and I was like, well, yeah, of course it's all about attention, but it's what you do with that attention. It's like, even play like I hear about so many great places doing so many amazing things, and they've not got anyone's attention. So you can't, until you've got someone's attention, you can't tell them about your fantastic service. And you know, I think we've all become a little bit skeptical of people wanting our attention, because it's like, oh, what are they trying to sell you? What are they trying to do this? And so even for charity organisations now, it's difficult to kind of get the level of attention that they need and they deserve. Yeah. So I think there's as well as there needs to be more services and more things for us to do out there. I think there's definitely a responsibility on us as individuals to kind of actually look to go.
100%. I know it's again, I keep referring to State of Mind because it's one I follow, you know, but I would never have got interested in that until I sort of decided it was up to me to sort of see where I can get help, because I was getting counselling at the time, but it's pretty expensive, you know, so it was a case of, well, surely there's other ways that I can get help here, or, you know, I can become involved with helping people. So, you know, when State of Mind come up, over these past few months, I've been really following that and looking into that in the hopes that probably next year I'll be able to devote some time to maybe helping them out. You know, it's just, but yeah, it just means that I've got to get off my arse and physically go and search for something.
Yeah, which unfortunately is not what you want when you're feeling like that. It's like my expression was, I'm always, like when I feel like that, I'm sat there waiting for the knight in shining armour to come, and you have to kind of be that knight in shining armour for yourself a little bit, and be like, you know, what can I do? You need to take a bit of ownership over it. It's like, what can I do? What, like, it's there are things out there with counselling. Was that something that you just took yourself off to, and was it something that you did privately? It wasn't an NHS one or anything like that?
No, it was private. It was private. I was struggling, so I just decided to speak to a counsellor, and you know, I just chatted to a counsellor over the phone, and she was actually she was a marriage guidance counsellor that I went to when I was going through a divorce years ago. And I just got in touch with her and said, basically, can you recommend anyone? I said, well, come and chat with me, you know, because basically it's just someone to talk to, isn't it? I said, yeah, and so I just sought her out and went looking for her. I mean, I did go to the doctors, and they diagnosed me with depression. They said, right, you know, there's two routes: go down, take these pills, or you go to counselling. I was like, well, I'm going to sort my own counselling out then, you know. And it was. I would have, you know, it would have been nice if there was more help at that point, you know, where I would have gone in and he would have said, right, listen, go and talk to this person or this group to go and speak to, you know, because I know when you're in a state of mind as that probably was, it would have been quite easy for me to go, just give me them pills and I'll bugger off and I'll be sound in a week, you know, where we know it's not the case.
I'd have been sound in a week a long time ago if that was the case. Yeah, I mean, again, I think I really do sympathise with people when they say, oh, like, you know, the current state of the NHS, it just can't get to see people quickly. There's not the resources and stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, if you find yourself a good counsellor or a good sort of cognitive behavioural therapist or neurolinguistic programmer, something along those lines, that'll teach you the techniques that you can then go and do your own homework. Like the best one I had was one that I got through the NHS actually, and it was just I think I got lucky. My doctor went and randomly plucked my file out. Well, a new doctor at the surgery plucked my file out. He was interested in mental health, and he got me in with a primary care worker. And I think over the course of 12 weeks, I saw her 6 times. So like 20-25 minutes at a time. So not a great amount of time, but she was brutally effective. Like, she like looked into mindfulness. She got to the root of everything quite quickly. And she was just like, and it'd be like, right, here's your homework for the next 2 weeks and do this. And that was probably one of the best experiences for me. I'd been through some CBT before, cognitive behavioural therapy, which I'd paid for. And again, that was quite a quick route in that by about 4 or 5 sessions in, I'd already started learning some of the techniques and applying it myself. I mean, it's similar to when, you know, obviously with us both working as personal trainers. If you teach someone over the course of 4 weeks how to kind of push, pull, squat, deadlift, and they can do that effectively, then all they need is somewhere they can go and do that. And they don't actually need you after that point.
True.
And there is definitely something to be said about taking a little bit of ownership of it. I constantly battle between the argument of whose responsibility is it, yours or the government's, and my answer is actually, you know, probably both. Like, the government should be doing more. I will never sit there and say the government's doing enough, but at the same time, we can do more as individuals.
Of course, too. Yeah, definitely.
So all right. So, is there any kind of, other than just talked about your problems, are there any other take-home tips that you could share from your journey that you think could help?
I think a lot of it was just, I mean, talking was my main thing, but I think through the talking, I was sort of realising that, you know what, it's okay to feel like that at times. You know, it's okay to feel shit, it's okay to feel a bit down. And if you want to go and take yourself away from people for a few hours or a day even, well, you know what, that's okay. It's not the end of the world, you know, it's not as bad as it seems. You know, if you are really struggling and you want that day in bed, you know what, have it. Just, it's okay, you know, just let someone know. You know, it's, and I think it's that sort of realisation in that, you know, it is okay to feel like that. You're not alone, because as we're sort of finding out now, there's hundreds of thousands of other people that are in the same boat as you.
Absolutely.
There's always someone to talk to. What brought this on was when I was really struggling. I had an episode once, a couple of years ago, and I was just struggling so much that I just took myself off for a walk and I just disappeared. And I must have been walking for about 6 hours, you know, and it was sort of, I realised, shit, I know where I am, and I'm like nowhere near home. How did I get here? You know, I must have been about 8 miles away, you know, and was like, how did I get here? And I got back home and I was dead pissed off with everyone. I was like, I didn't even want to speak to my mates. I was like, no one's contacted me. No one's asked me if I'm okay. You know, no, I've not had a phone call. I've not had a text message. Like, and I could have been anywhere, you know. And I sat in the house and I was so angry and pissed off. I was just basically like, right, fuck you all. And I just felt like getting rid of my phone, you know. And it was only, you know, it was probably a couple of days later, I was talking to one of my good mates, and he said, well, we didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
What would you have normally been doing during those 8 hours?
Oh, that's it, yeah, you know, or been at work or whatever. I don't speak to them in them 8 hours, you know, it's just, and he said, well, we didn't know, like, you know, if you don't speak to us, how do we know? And I was like, oh yeah, you know. Yeah. And it was a sort of wake up like, and he was sort of like, right, okay, it's okay for me to feel like that, and you know, it's okay for me to take myself off and go for a walk if I want to go for a walk, but if I'm feeling that bad and I do that, just a text message to someone.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit shit, going for a walk.
Yeah. Reach out to someone rather than waiting for them to reach out to you.
Massively, yeah.
Because everyone's got their own shit. Everyone's going through their own problems, or even just getting on with life, and they don't know how you're feeling.
And that was it, you know. I was probably struggling in a bad stage for a couple of months, and you know, it got to the point where I was like, right, fuck everyone, you know, it doesn't matter, they don't care about me. And it was only when I sort of went out, and my girlfriend made me go out once, so I didn't want to go out, and I went out and talking to him, and I was like, I found myself having a go at him. And they were like, well, we didn't know, just why didn't you just speak to us? I was like, yeah, why didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, they're great, these thoughts, as after the fact, but it's when you're in that position, you've got to intervene and remind yourself, haven't you?
I think it is. The ownership's on you, innit?
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't, well, it was proof. If you don't let someone know, how did they know? You know, and it is, and it could just be as simple as a text message or a phone call. It is, you know, I'm struggling a bit in a minute.
Yeah.
Just need a bit of time.
Yeah.
And mates and anyone's going to say, well, if there's anything I can do, and the chances are they'll check up on you later, you know. So, but yeah, you definitely got to let people know when you are struggling.
Okay, awesome. So the two primary goals of this video series, one is to get more men talking. Well, they're both technically the same thing, to get more men talking, but the first one is to hear stories about show how more of us are affected than what we realise, and the second one is to get more people to basically be ready to open up. So what would your advice be to someone who is sitting there thinking, oh, I can't do that?
I think just reach out to someone. It is just, you know, drop a text message, and it can be anyone. You know, I know family are always there for you, but for me, they're probably not the first point of call, you know, because they are too involved with you, and you know, you'll probably find your phone your mum's going to tell you what she thinks you want to hear to make you happy.
Yeah.
You know, where sometimes you just need almost a critical view on it, and I think reaching out to someone other than that is, and it, again, as simple as a text message, you know, explain how you feel. Let's face it, I mean, no one's going to turn around and go, fucking hell, no, I can't be dealing with that. you know, someone's going to sort of step up and at least be an ear for you to talk into.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.
No worries.
Right guys, thanks for watching Mental Improvements. As always, I would like to take this opportunity to encourage you, if you're a man out there who has a story, who you feel that parts of your story could become a missing piece to someone else's puzzle, please get in touch to share it. If you want to do that in the comments, or if you want to do that just by messaging me personally directly, however you want to get in touch, get in touch. And also, as Mike's just said there, you know, reach out, open up. It doesn't, and if you need to do that to be with someone anonymous, there are helplines for that very reason. If you need it to be with, you know, because in that, the family, they always have that level of emotion, you have that level of history, and you have those expectations. If you are making that first step and you just want to open up to somebody, then yeah, maybe go down the route of it being someone who's not quite as connected. Because one thing that's true with this, as Mike said earlier when he said that he started off with counselling and then it turned into, well, he'll tell anybody that'll listen. I think I've said the same thing before. I've even gone as far as saying I'll tell a few people that won't listen. Opening up becomes not so much addictive, but it becomes like gains momentum. Once you've done it a few times, you realise that that vulnerability can become your strength. Then it actually becomes something that you'll do more and more, and you'll get more and more of the benefit out of. So thanks again for watching, and if you've got a friend that you think would benefit from this, please send it to them, tag them in it, and help us pass on this message.